Hello.
Hey,
How are you doing?
I'm good. Alhamdulillah, very, very good today.
Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to our live. My name is Taylor Ward. I am the Communications and Educations Programs Manager at Just Solutions. And we're so excited to be doing this live today with Faithfully Sustainable. So let's do some introductions and then we'll dive into the questions. So for those who don't know, Just Solutions is a BIPOC-led national climate organization that partners with communities that are disproportionately impacted by climate change to turn their priorities and ideas into laws and policy. And so we draw from community-centered solutions and invest deeply in innovator states where justice-centered organizations and coalitions have demonstrated this vision, strategy, and political power to win and implement climate policies that strengthen their communities, health, economic security, and resilience. And we are joined today by Kajatu. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. But first, I just want to say, like, y'all are doing such exciting things. I love how the mission is laid out. And like, I love how much your projects and mission just really follows your title as well, Just Solutions. So I'm very happy to be a part of this, especially given that it's Taylor, given that it's you who's hosting this. Because you're a volunteer, Faithfully Sustainable. So my name is Kajatu Balde. I am the founder of Faithfully Sustainable. In a nutshell, we exist to make it as easy as possible for Muslims to engage in climate action. We are a Muslim-led environmental justice organization, and our vision is for a future where Muslim-led solutions are at the very front lines of tackling every environmental crisis. And so since starting our organization, the main focus has been on elevating environmental justice awareness within the Muslim community digitally through infographics, blog posts, as well as many virtual events. And given the low levels of involvement of Muslims, within environmental stewardship that we've seen, it just felt necessary to kind of start off with, relentless advocacy and awareness campaigns to really get Muslim participation into environmental justice, climate justice. We have many exciting projects, some of which Taylor is assisting us with voluntarily, that are lined up for this month and the rest of the year that I'm excited to dive into.
Awesome. Thank you. Cool. Well, let's do a quick little icebreaker question.
Oh.
What's something that you've been enjoying doing this summer?
Being outside. I live in New York City, and I realized the cold is really not it for me, but I thrive in the summer. And, I've been sick a lot this summer, unfortunately, but, the sun has just brought so much joy to me. So I've just enjoyed being outside. Being outdoors.
Great. I would say for me, because I'm in Florida and it's very hot, I've been trying to find like nice indoor things to do. So this summer I went to the library a lot, which has been really nice. Nice little break from the heat and humidity. But yeah, that's in my summer vibe.
That's awesome. Do you like go there to read or to work, or is it a bit of both?
Yeah, I have one that's walking distance from my house, so it's very convenient.
Yeah, that's amazing. Good for you.
Awesome. Great. So the first question is, can you share how are Muslims disproportionately impacted by the climate crisis?
Yeah, so this is a question you don't get a lot, so I'm happy that you're asking. Muslim majority countries are located in the global south. There are over 2 billion Muslims around the world, and most of them are located in the global south, in these countries that have experienced and will continue to experience a lot of climate disasters. So they're being hit the hardest. Everybody at this point should know that the global south is being hit the hardest by the climate crisis. And it happens that these countries that are located in that geographical area are Muslim majority countries. So you can think of countries like Bangladesh, or even countries in West Africa like Sierra Leone. Like Sierra Leone specifically, they've been experiencing huge issues of a drought. They've been experiencing devastating floods as well, and landslides in the capital, Freetown. And so all of these issues are causing a loss of life. So people are dying. There's displacement of communities. There's damage to infrastructure. And so they're being directly impacted by the climate crisis. Same thing when you think about Bangladesh. They've been on the news a lot more, I would say, than a country like Sierra Leone, which is a whole other point of conversation. But if you think about a country like Bangladesh, they had a really terrifying cyclone that struck their country, and it caused extensive damage to the homes, again, infrastructure, agriculture, basic things that really affect the general livelihood of the individuals, the majority Muslims who live in these countries. And so all of these devastating impacts of the climate crisis are being directly impacting Muslim majority countries and Muslims within those countries. And so it's really important to talk about how the climate crisis is impacting the Muslim community, because the majority of them are located in the global South. So that's one answer.
Yeah, definitely. So it's so true, and honestly so devastating. And there's so many examples where we see this to be the case. So thank you for sharing that. And then for you all, for Faithfully Sustainable, what does it mean to address the climate crisis from an Islamic framework?
Yeah. So when it comes to religion, and specifically Islam, I would say that there's still a lot that is not understood about the links between Islam and climate justice within secular spaces and also within Muslim spaces, right? However, in the short time that we've been doing our advocacy work, we've really understood that incorporating Islamic messaging into climate advocacy is a very effective way to engage Muslims in climate action. We've seen a great reaction from the campaigns that we've done. And the reason for it is Islam is a religion that has existed since forever, right? And a lot of the teachings that come from Islam, are teachings that we as a community who are dealing or facing, facing this climate crisis really have to understand, because a lot of it also has to do with like a morality crisis, but more specifically in Islam, Islam talks a lot about balance. There's this word mizan, and so Islam promotes balance, and it gives right to all of creation. And so this is just one very simple example that teaches you about why it's necessary to really understand what an Islamic framework is in terms of just, general promoting balance, giving right to all creation, and even just incorporating that small framework that every single thing is created by God, and every single thing must be respected and must be given its due right. It's one of the very simple ways that we as a human population can really be more aware about our actions and how that is causing us to be in this crisis that we are in. And so when we talk about incorporating an Islamic framework into climate justice, one way is to just really get a quarter of the population, over 2 billion Muslims, to engage and participate in climate action. But the other bigger reason is because Islam as a faith provides holistic solutions that can be incorporated and should be incorporated into our climate action if we are to actually see changes. And a lot of it centers around us giving a right to everything, giving a right to each other, giving right to the planet, the plants, the animals. You know, Islam heavily discusses the justice and the due rights of all of creation. And even if we were to just understand that and really incorporate that into our daily life and, you know, morals and actions, that alone, you know, would not have, we would not be where we're at right now, basically.
Definitely, 100% to everything you said. Yeah, that was great. And then speaking of solutions, can you talk about the importance of Muslim-led initiatives when it comes to creating these climate justice solutions? And if there are any examples that you've seen, feel free to share those too.
Yeah, so, you know, first of all, I do want to make mention that as a global community, especially in the US, I think it's time that we work in a space where we are inclusive of different types of solutions that are brought to climate justice, environmental justice. And that really does include Islamic solutions and including the Muslim population, who, again, make up a quarter of the global population. And so some of the really interesting solutions and initiatives that come to mind are led by Muslims. One of them, I recently learned about this actually yesterday, by a professor named Tamara Soma. She is based in Canada, and she created the Food Systems Lab at her university. And the Food Systems Lab is basically a research and innovation hub that focuses on equitable collaboration to reduce food waste and support sustainable food systems that enhance ecosystems, conserve natural resources, and help to mitigate climate change. And this is a really like fascinating initiative, I thought. And like when I saw, I was like, you know, as a Muslim woman with hijab at this university in Canada that's leading this project, I was very fascinated by it, mashallah. And so we reached out to her, and she's actually going to be one of the speakers at our upcoming Muslim Climate Justice Conference. But yeah, so we reached out to her, and we always have conversation with our speakers to just understand them a little bit more, and, you know, what inspired them, how do they bring an Islamic approach into their solutions. And so her specifically, she was telling us that, you know, she was inspired by her parents' Islamic teachings, and that's what got her into food justice. And that even within her class, she makes it, you know, she makes it a point to talk about what Islam teaches us about an equitable and sustainable food system. And so she's more familiar with that part of what Islam has to say. But that's one really exciting initiative. The other exciting initiative is called Almaz Wearables. This is by Dua Al-Dasuki. She's also going to be participating in the summit as a speaker. They're also going to be having a unfashion show performance, which is a series of spoken word pieces. But anyways, Almaz Wearables is an e-commerce thrift shop and social enterprise that is dedicated to more conscious, more sustainable, and more affordable hijab-worthy wearables. And it was interesting to me that on her website, if you go and just having conversation with Dua, I know that she is heavily inspired by Islam to be a more conscious consumer first. And then when it comes to her business, one of the things that she actually says in her in the website is that the term more conscious comes from an Arabic word called taqwa. And taqwa is translated into God consciousness. And so like directly actually from her website, where she says taqwa is translated into God consciousness, an elevated sense of awareness of God in all that we do. And as Muslims, we have a responsibility to be more conscious in both our consumption as consumers and our work as business owners. And that at Almaz, this concept is central to the work that they're doing there. And so this is like a perfect example of like a Muslim taking lessons from Islam to put that into their work and into their initiative towards alleviating the climate crisis.
I love that. Both of those are really great examples.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for both very exciting. And you mentioned the summit. So is there any, besides, you can share about the summit and any other ways for people to kind of stay connected with the work that Faithfully Sustainable is doing?
Yeah. I mean, I think you can talk about it too. Okay. Taylor, for background, is basically assisting with coordinating the summit. So the summit is, it's called the Muslim Climate Justice Summit, the Earth as Our Amana, and Amana translates to responsibility. So the summit is going to be taking place next week on Saturday in New York City, and then the second day is going to be fully virtual, but the whole entire first day is going to be live streamed as well. And you know, the aim, the reason why we decided to create this summit to begin with is to just provide a platform for Muslims and allies to come and learn about climate justice through an Islamic framework, and really to provide the participants there with the tools and resources to be able to just be, one, inspired, motivated, and also provide them with actual tools to go out there and create their own solutions. And so we're really excited. We have amazing speakers, both for the in-person and virtual sessions. And we look forward to welcoming all the Just Solutions community as well as others to take part in it.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Well, we are approaching the end of our time. And so thank you to everyone for joining our lives today. This video will live on our Instagram pages, so you can always check it out. If you'd like to stay updated on the work that our team at Just Solutions is doing, you can check us out at justsolutionscollective.org. To stay informed, you can also follow our social media channels. And for Faithfully Sustainable, you can follow them on Instagram, and check out their website as well to stay up to date on their activities. And yeah, thank you, Kajatu, so much for having this conversation with me. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, Taylor. It's been my greatest pleasure. Have a good one.
Bye.